Hi, everyone. Deborah Gardner here with Hospitality Today Live. Welcome back to our weekly show, and it only gets better and better. So thank you so much for our HTL fans out there that continue to keep watching us. And if you're new, well, we're not going to disappoint you because we have a great episode ready for you today. If you are looking for new ways for your attendees to interact and engage, well, this is the show for you because you'll also want to be creative in boosting your meetings and events just by listening to my guest today. We're talking about Chris Bent. He is the founder of Piccles, and we're going to find out what is Piccles, how does it improve your meetings and events? Is it a gamification or is it an educational tool? And how is it going to improve meetings and events? Because something new like this is going to make a huge impact to the success of your meetings and events. And also, how are you going to supercharge your creativity so that your organization can be more successful than ever? So you're not going to want to miss it right here on Hospitality Today Live. Don't go far. Today's episode is sponsored by Versator. Let the site tour come to you. Versator.com. Well, we are here for a very exciting show. And I have to say, welcome, Chris, because you and I have known each other for almost a year, I believe, and have worked together as well at the MPI WEC, where I had the pleasure to actually utilize Piccles in my program. So I'm so excited you're here to share it with all our viewers today.
Yeah, Deborah, thank you so much for having me here. It was a pleasure to work with you with MPI, and it is awesome to be here, part of Hospitality Today with you. I'm looking forward to it.
Absolutely. And I tell you what, once everyone hears about this, they're going to go, what, pickles? Like pickles in a jar? No, we need to talk about this because about you as well, because you've been an entrepreneur. I believe you had your very first business when you were 13 years old. And then I believe somehow you discovered in being very obsessed with creativity, which is where Piccles came into play. So can you tell us a little about your background and about Piccles?
Yeah, absolutely. So as you mentioned, I've always had that entrepreneurial bug in me. Actually, before I did anything, I started selling candy on the bus when I was marking it up 25 cents and I wanted to buy a Palm Pilot game. And so actually once I got to about $35, I stopped that venture because I could afford the pool game on my Palm Pilot. And so then after that, I actually started mowing lawns in my neighborhood. I was mowing my dad's lawn. He was paying me in Pokemon cards. And I figured I could go to some neighbors and see if I could charge some money to buy more Pokemon cards, because that was what I was pretty passionate about at the time. And so just from there, it grew. And I went from a push mower to a rider mower to a zero turn mower, increasing my efficiency. I started hiring my friends. Honestly, I still miss those days of just sitting out there and kind of making those lines on people's lawns. That physical labor is something that typing away on a keyboard just doesn't really give you anymore. But that was really what started my entrepreneurial journey. And I remember at that time, I said to myself, I will never work for anyone else. I just don't get it. How I have friends in supermarkets bagging groceries, and I was out here in the sun listening to music, working with my friends. It was just, I felt like I had found the dream job in entrepreneurship. And so I started a couple different companies. One was a company we were trying to crowdfund solar arrays for nonprofit organizations. And we were doing that in college. And then I worked for another company, started it up selling little credit card sized multi-tools. But it wasn't until a friend of mine who I met through a business incubator, he had just closed $1 million round of funding. And he called me up, asked if I would join his sales team. And I thought this would be a good challenge to have. So I joined. And shortly after that, I got my first taste of metrics of investors who wanted to see your activity and measure everything in Salesforce. And I was locking myself in a phone booth, trying to call 100 people a day. And that's really when I felt my soul just kind of leave my body. And at that time, that's really when I got passionate about creativity, because I realized that entrepreneurship, that was what was scratching my creative itch, really filling my soul, that need to create and use my imagination and put that into the world. And now that it wasn't getting satisfied anymore, I mean, you can only be so imaginative with the voicemails that you're leaving people who will never call you back, that I was like, all right, how can someone who's not an artist, not a musician, not a chef, be creative? And it felt like this kind of scary and daunting challenge to just try and do something creative. And that's really what led to the creation of Pickles. So everything, those dark times.
So tell us, I love that, where the idea came from. Tell us what Pickles actually is.
Yeah, so I can actually, since I'm a pretty visual person, I can show you what Pickles actually is and actually how it originally began. So, so it originally began, I can't draw the Mona Lisa, but my idea was to create a collaborative coloring book where instead of one person spending an hour making a drawing that looked terrible and they never picked up a pen again, you would have 100 people spending a minute doing 1/100th of that drawing. And there was less pressure to be perfect. You can spend a lot less time doing it, and you just have a more snackable form of creativity where you can just kind of bring down the barriers to make it easily and more accessible to just make something and put it out there into the world. And then from here, we started exploring, well, what are we going to do with this? And we actually started using it to ask questions. Instead of drawing over a background image, we started asking people, how are you feeling today? Or are you Democrat or Republican? Which it turns out it's a pretty hard subject, something you don't just want to bring up in a public forum these days. But we were using this as a tool to talk about those hard subjects, to let everybody visualize their thoughts and ideas in this safe space. And we've since used it in public, on the sides of buildings, to engage citizens, and created different data visualizations, all sorts of different stuff. But it's really kind of started there. And I think that's a huge part of creativity, is just doing something, saying, let's see what happens, and then adapting and making those small incremental adjustments as you go through the world.
Right. And it's a lot of fun, and it gets people to be creative themselves, and they don't have to display who they are. They just, put it out there, what they're feeling. And I know, personally experiencing this last November with you, it was amazing, absolutely amazing how many people in my session were able to just play. And it was so easy to ask them questions and say, hey, how are you feeling today? And somebody would draw a heart.
Yeah.
Somebody might, show a happy face, or a sad face. And they're able to get their expressions out. And that I really think is key, especially for, post-COVID. People really want to express themselves more than ever. So I just think it's a very cool, collaborative drawing experience that anybody, can do. So are you just virtually, or do you do this in person at meetings and events as well?
Yeah, so we have been virtual for the past 16 months. I've gotten pretty good at making eye contact with the camera and trying to connect with audiences. And it's been awesome because it's opened up a lot of doors where people, they didn't have this need before, but now that everyone is distributed, you have people all around the world. And even as we're coming back, there's new hybrid office models. We're still not all going to be in the same place at the same time, in the same room, sharing that same energy. And so we're still seeing a lot of demand for this to keep people connected and to show up authentically. I think one of the great things about this pandemic has been that we've been able to take a breath, kind of reevaluate what we're doing and get more authentic, like just get in touch with ourselves. You're seeing each other in their natural environment and our houses. There's cattails that will just walk across the screen. And so like we found that when we ask people to draw, yes, at first it's uncomfortable. They're like, well, I'm not an artist. I don't know how to do this. But then what comes next is always what's in their soul. It's more authentic. Instead of just asking people, are you like a thumbs up or a thumbs down or this or that emoji, like what people draw, it's really what they feel. And it's this way of expressing yourself that I think is the way that the world is going, to be more authentic, to really show up as who you are and be seen. And I think everybody from their work from home places, they need to be seen and they need to feel like they are part of that team. And so that's really what we are trying to do. And so we're actually seeing, as all of these hybrid events coming, people are using Pickles to connect the in-person and the virtual audiences, because I think we're going to see that meetings aren't just going to be only in person or only virtual. It's really going to be a mix of both, so that you can have people who need to be there showing up, but then the reach that you can get from having a virtual event, that is something that everybody has learned over this past pandemic. And so we're pretty excited for that move to in person. And I'll be going to Lake Tahoe for the HD Summit coming up as the first in-person event. So I don't know quite how to greet people, if we're still going to be passing business cards or doing elbow bumps still. It'll be weird getting used to seeing people in person, but I'm excited to be able to have that energy in the room again.
Yeah, that is very true. That is very true. And I believe that coming out of this COVID, people are more sensitive. We're finding that in the industry, they don't want the hardcore, let's get going type of content. They're going to have to ease into, like you said, wow, what is it going to be like being in person again? Everybody needs to ease in. And I think this conference is very lucky to have you to help that process. Well, we have a question for you from Lisa Raymond. She said, how many people can actually play Pickles at once?
Yeah, that is a great question. So we have a conference coming up in September with 20,000 people. Oh. So that's going to be a big one. And I always say it gets more fun the more people that are using it. We will use it in smaller teams for different team building activities. But when you can ask 1,000 people all the same question and you just see all of their responses filling the screen, it really gives you that sense of everybody being together, having this shared experience. And when you can have that shared experience with a lot of people, not only is it kind of like a bigger and bigger group hug, the more people that are using it, but it's also this interesting way of collecting qualitative data where you can really see how people feel. And the more data you get, the more just information that you get. I should say the reason that it's called Pickles, not only do I love the little salty snacks.
I was just going to ask you this.
Yeah. So it's actually a combination of pictures and pixels put together. So
Smart.
so it's basically every little picture that's comes together to form the big picture on how people might think or feel about certain things. And so you have every individual showing up as they want, but then being part of this larger whole.
That makes a lot of sense. So what is we know that you can go up to 20,000, probably even more. What is the minimum amount that you recommend of attendees?
It's a good question. I mean, I was just doing an event. I think there was maybe like 5 people using it recently, and that was definitely smaller. But it was still a lot of fun. I had to do more talking, obviously, but I love improv, and so it was almost like everyone was giving me visual cues, and I was just like filling it in, and we were talking about extreme innovation there. So you can use it with small teams and use it kind of as team building, because in that case, I'll almost highlight a different drawing each time, and then use that to kind of hand the conch shell around. If you're familiar with Lord of the Flies, like that's your turn to when your drawing is promoted and made big, you kind of have the floor to speak. And so we can really use it to facilitate discussion, get the introverts and the extroverts all participating by using Pickles for that purpose.
Well, what I like about what you said too is it collects data. That's very important, is to measure ROI, especially post COVID, and that's what they're looking for. That's what the stakeholders, the owners, and meeting and event professionals need to move forward here post COVID. And there's nothing like data, so that's a big key point for anybody to know. So you're getting the data, but you're getting it through a very fun, interactive event. So that makes it a lot of fun. Well, we've got more questions. Of course, we want to take those as quickly as we can. Lynn Wellish is here. What is your sales and marketing approach? What is the profiles for perfect client?
Yeah. What is the profile? So we actually have not spent any money on marketing so far, which is great. If we did, it probably wouldn't work that well, because Pickles is something that you need to try and use to experience and really get. And we haven't found our just like writing about it to really convey that experience. It's something that once you do have that experience, you're like, oh, cool, I see how this works. And so we will do a lot of different free events, because honestly, I just love using it and love interacting with people using the tool and getting to see their excitement as their inner child is being awakened and they're finger painting for the first time in years or decades even. And so we'll do that for kind of sales and marketing. And luckily, when people use Pickles at an event, they'll reach out and oftentimes like have another event that they're planning that they want to use it for. And to profilio of our perfect client, I would say that, I mean, we do a lot of work with associations, with nonprofits, with corporations, doing employee all hands meetings, doing networking events, really as a way to just get people feeling connected. Anytime that there is these events, I know engagement is a word that's passed around all the time, but it is just so important to be able to engage people. Like the chat is great, polls are great, but we really kind of come in and we give people something creative to do that you never know what you're going to see there. That's why I think it's so exciting. Like there's a blank screen there until the audience fills it in. So it's a little bit nerve-wracking, especially when some of those video platforms have a 20 or 30-second delay. And I'm like, all right, got to fill the time while I'm looking at a blank screen here. But then once all of the drawings start filling it, it's just so cool to see all of that happen. And so we do lots of work. I mean, honestly, Pickles started out working with hospitals because we saw the biggest need to be addressed, especially in children's hospitals, as a tool to provide a form of distractive entertainment and leave these kids feeling a sense of community without ever having to leave their hospital rooms. And so there's all sorts of different segments and different markets that can use Pickles. We're really focused on meetings and events right now, but human resources, recruiting, healthcare, governments we've done different work with to engage citizens. And so I think everywhere needs to engage people, and we really give them something creative to do that makes them feel good and has a purpose behind it. And so
well, and that's everybody. I mean, everybody needs to be engaged and included and having fun more now than ever. So I can see this being very, very popular in so many different ways. I just think that Pickles has such a great future for meetings and events and the entire hospitality industry as well. We've got more questions. Look at this. And thank you, Lynn, for that great question, as a matter of fact. So this one's from Visibly Media. What is the investment for playing Pickles? And is it tested on the number of people playing from your organization?
Yeah, that is a great question. So I have my least favorite part of Pickles is the pricing, because it's just like so hard to narrow in on that. And so we try and keep it simple with just a pretty basic tier for the software that kind of scales based on how many people are at the event, and then any services that you would like. So we are a SaaS product, but instead of software as a service, it's really software and a service, because we will come in and we will help set up things. We will do the facilitation in some cases, so you don't have to learn how to use it. And we also have a team of content creators who can create different data visualizations, actually creating these recap videos, which serve as a nice kind of conclusion. We'll download all of the drawings we collect, categorize them, and organize them into a branded video that we can turn around pretty quickly to have as a nice end of a conference piece. And then you can also share it through social media and through email after. So there's really the software and the services that we kind of combine to have this full experience.
Wow. Yeah. And I think that's the key. What you mentioned earlier is that it's a firsthand experience. And I think you get the bug right when you start playing it. It is a lot of fun. So let's ask you a little bit more details. What have you learned since starting Pickles? 5 years ago? What is it that you've learned?
Yeah, that is honestly, I feel like I've gotten 3 college MBAs in the time that I've tried to and started Pickles. I was introduced to the term street MBA when I was telling someone about this, and they said, you're not spending the money to learn, you're spending it on a business, and you're learning that way. And I mean, some of the things that I've learned is just how important it is to talk to customers and understand their needs, understand what they're looking for, understand their problems, and really build something for them. Because I could have all of these ideas, but just like how we started off with a collaborative coloring book and then moved it to this really visual question and answer platform, that was all based on experimenting with it and seeing how it resonated with different audiences. And so I've certainly learned just how to kind of build a technical product, because I'll be honest, I am not technical. I cannot talk to computers, and I would much rather talk to people. So I'm starting to learn how to talk to people who know how to talk to computers, and just building a tech company from prioritization of features to product roadmap. Like these are all things that I have learned on the fly, and all things that, yeah, I really did not know at all before. So it has been an incredible learning opportunity, but it really still feels like I am just getting started, because once I master something, I know that there'll be a whole new set of challenges that come up right after. And that's what I love about entrepreneurship and starting companies too, is that every day is different and every day has a unique set of challenges.
So where do you see Pickles 5 to 10 years from now? I mean, creativity is just getting revved up. Do you see some are there big plans for Pickles to expand?
We're going to be in a pickle, that's for sure. But it'll be an entirely different pickle than what we're in today.
I love it.
Yeah, I think with the data aspect, like we're gonna have millions of drawings by then, and we'll be able to compare, have this kind of comparison data even.
Right.
So if we ask this question to your company, we're gonna know how it stacks up against other millennials in tech companies, other people in Phoenix, Arizona. And I think just like really being able to kind of, we're building this unique form of qualitative data and then quantifying it back to be able to analyze it. That's something that we're going to be working on, and whether artificial intelligence, machine learning will come into that, so that you can draw a heart and then we can have that automatically sorted, because right now it's a manual process that we do, but they say do everything manually until it hurts a little bit too much, and then learn how to automate that. And in 5 years, I really see us doing lots of, knock on wood, live events, virtual events. I would love to do music festivals, like while everyone is waiting for their favorite band to come on stage, you can draw and create the graphics that will go behind them during that performance. Things like that are just right now dreams, but certainly able to become realities. I think I'm excited to explore, and it is a creative platform. We have an incredibly creative team here working at Pickles, based in Montreal and in a few satellite offices around the United States. And so I just am excited to kind of work and collaborate with different partners to really see what we can do, because we still stay really close to our partners, to our customers, and hear what they want us to do. And so it really is an awesome relationship that we have that informs what we build next.
Yeah, well, I tell you what, if anybody wants to superpower their creativity at their meetings and events, or any other organization, whether it's a sales meeting or a board meeting or whatever, I highly recommend Pickles. And I know I'll be working with you again from the platform as well. But this is definitely a fun, interactive drawing tool designed for groups to collaborate, icebreakers, team building. I mean, the list goes on and on. And I just think it's a great way for people to really tap into their creative potential overall. So how can people get to know you and contact you and find out more about Pickles?
Yeah. So you could go to our website. It is pickles.com. You can send me an email directly, Chris@Pickles. We are on all social media at Make Pickles, and carrier pigeons work great as well. We've got a little roost out here that they're all flying into. So if you want to send any of those.
Well, I know I'll see you at some events here in the near future, because again, once people again, get that firsthand experience and trying it, I think they're going to be hooked. I know I was, I know my audience was, and we definitely want to see you around at a lot of events here in the future. So congratulations. Thank you again for being here on the show. We really are excited, and I'm glad you were able to share some visuals as well to give people some ideas. So we'll stay in touch, and wishing you all the best.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Deborah. This was so much fun to talk to you. I really appreciate you having me. I'm excited to see you in person at one of these events coming up.
I agree. I agree.
A lot of fun.
Thanks, Chris.
Thank you so much, Deborah. I'll talk.
Well, there you go. I know you all have to be really excited about this, and you're going to go to pickles.com right now, as Chris will be waiting for you to discuss even more of what can be done for your meetings and events. And hop on this right now, so that way you are the innovator compared to any other conferences out there or other events as well. He is definitely a delight to work with, because I've done that firsthand, and you'll see how easy this entire system is, especially for somebody that's not tech guru at all. So I'm glad that you were with us. I hope you enjoyed the show. And if you want to see it again, or you want to share it with anyone, please just go to our Facebook page, LinkedIn, or YouTube. And we want to thank our sponsor, Versator, for being with us as well today. Any questions, any comments, or want to discuss anything with us, by all means, just go to hello@hospitalitytodaylive.com, and we'll be right there for you. Now, next week, we're going to carry this on for another great episode for you. This time, we're going to talk to the Director of Sales for the State Farm Insurance, that's what I want to say, State Farm Stadium, Brian Hatchett. He's going to actually give us some highlights on non-traditional venues, because, you know, it's all about mixing it up for your meetings and events. And I know big venues have actually not had the opportunity to really be part of your business plan, but we're going to prove that wrong. Brian's going to talk about what opportunities have developed with these type of venues like State Farm Stadium. He's also going to discuss how staying involved with the community will help your business and your career. So you're not going to want to miss it next Tuesday, same time as well. So I'm Deborah Gardner. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us again and sticking in there with us, because we're only going to get better and better every week. And just remember, if you're thinking about it, we're talking about it right here on HTL. Have a great week, everybody.